Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today's video is yet another attempt to get your minds right about the full frontal attack the dominionist white man is about to throw down on us all. But before we start, allow me to ask you a question, gentle strangers. If you were an extreme Christian crazy and just pulled off the biggest presidential coup in the history of the United States, now add into the equation, you are disgusted in the way of society and how it has handled the youth, mainly in the spheres the parents have no control. If you had the power to change things, what institution of wickedness would you go for with reckless abandon? What? Who, me? I would, just like every other dictator that has taken power in every part of the world. I would totally destroy the current institution of education. But unlike the real dictator, who would round up all the educators and either shoot them on the spot or send them to Siberian gulag re-education camps, I wouldn't do that. Whiplash smile. But I would totally destroy the educators and the institution. And I think that is what is going on today. Think about it from remembrance for just a minute. Society has basically forced you to send your sweet little pumpkin lily Grace off to college so she can get a good job. Before she left, she was a good girl, loved her mama, she loved white Jesus, and America too. She loved that colored name Tupac, but was crazy about Elvis. She loved horses and a boyfriend too. And just two semesters later, she hates her mama, became the campus big black rocket queen and pillow princess for all the ladies in the house. Her liberal gay professor has her thinking Americans are warmongering, misogynistic, fascist pigs. At that point, you don't even trust her with the horses anymore. Surely you understand that there is no way in Hades any red-blooded, pure white Christian worth their salt will not find it an honor to spill a bucket of blood for such a worthy cause of shutting down the devil's playground. The den of devils who inject our Christian youth with drugs, booze, sex, hip-gyrating devil music, homosexuality, and communist propaganda must be shut down. And I mean now. Saying all that, let's begin, shall we? According to Yahoo News via Business Insider, under a scathing resignation memo from the top U.S. student aid official reveals a Trump proposal that may delegitimize the Department of Education. May 26, 2017. Quote, the Trump administration is considering moving oversight for more than $1 trillion in student loan debt from the Department of Education, where it currently resides, to the Department of the Treasury. The New York Times reports. Stop. Bingo. Why such a big bingo, you ask? Well, according to Google and myself, the Treasury prints and mints all paper currency and coins in circulation through the Bureau of Engraving and Printing and the United States Mint. Listen up, listen up. The department also collects all federal taxes through the Internal Revenue Service and manages U.S. government debt instruments, which can only mean this move is designed to circumvent the spirit of debt collection laws through the constitutional overlap of powers. I'm basically saying this move would be the last constitutional hurdle needed to institute debtors' prisons outright again in the United States. I know it's going on now, but those cases are at the behest of corporations who use the district attorney's letterheads as their thug mashers. And yes, we have discovered this practice has been going on from one coast of America to the other. I know you don't believe me, so you already know that I'm going to do my best to prove this case. But before I go on, I want to give you a perceptual context to view this information. What we are reading and the things we don't know is so bad, the head of a department that deals with a budget surpassing $1 trillion says, "Screw this and I quit," and apparently says, "Screw you," and is spilling the beans. That can only mean this is big time stuff. Let's continue, please. Quote, "The possible change was referenced in the resignation memo of James Runis, which the Times obtained. Runcie is Runcie, R-U-N-C-I-E, Runcie. Runcie led the Department of Education's federal student aid program and resigned suddenly Tuesday night, citing the proposed change to student aid oversight and other issues. Runcie wrote a scathing memo to colleagues highlighting his dissatisfaction with the way his office was micromanaged, Political reported. Personal quote, "I am incredibly concerned about significant constraints being placed on our ability to allocate and to prioritize resources, make decisions, and deliver on the organization's mission." Runcie wrote in the memo according to Political. Stop. Translation: the Dominionist promise to take over the education system has taken root. No money moves without their okay. Now are you starting to see why Pence stacked the deck with constitutional experts? But I know. It's just racist propaganda until the white man says it. I got that. Let's continue, please. Quote, "One of his largest areas of responsibilities pertain to administering federal student aid. The Pell Grant program, student aid that does not need to be repaid, was the largest area of spending for the department for 2016, with about $22.5 billion spent." Personal quote, "The reason the federal student aid programs live within the education department is because that's the agency that has as its goal increasing educational opportunities in the United States," David Bergnon told the Times. Another personal quote, "That is not the Treasury Department's goal. Its job is to pay for business of the United States government." Bergnon, who worked in the ED Education Department for 35 years, continued. Example, bingo. No, not for the white man saying the exact same things I've been trying to tell you all along. This bingo is for the proof of my overall theory that the Dominionists were going to take over the entire system of education. What I mean is, the education bubble is about to burst, people. Think about it like a businessman for just a minute. Colleges, universities, or any other form of higher education are nothing more or less than corporations now. They have their own stockholders, the boosters and the donors. They have their own trademark rights. They have their own global outreach and trading rights. They get corporate tax breaks. They have their own board of directors. They have their own marketing department. They have their own sport product for consumers like a corporation, etc., etc., etc. So many people, so many communities, so many small towns, so many businesses are dependent on your acne-faced kids sitting in their overpriced seats. Do you realize how many people will lose their jobs? How many small American towns will go belly up? Or far worse, how many unemployed philosophy professors wearing all black will be at Starbucks if higher education bubble bursts? And that is exactly what the Dominionists expect will happen. Don't worry though, they have a plan for all of the kids when the education apocalypse goes down. Check it out. According to Yahoo News Finance, under Americans who need jobs aren't going where the jobs are. May 26, 2017. Quote, Business is so good for SEI Manufacturing in Cromwell, Indiana. They make hinges, pins, leaning posts, metal furniture, T-tops, hard tops, sheet processing, and medical carts. Quote, business is so good for SEI Manufacturing in Cromwell, Indiana, that there's only one thing preventing explosive growth: a shortage of workers. Personal quote. I could double my revenue if I could get the workers, says Nathan something, the 37-year-old owner of the company, which makes marine components. Another personal quote. It frustrates me. I never would have thought the biggest barrier to my success would be an inability to get workers. Stop. Bingo. Ha ha. Am I the only person to perceive what we just heard was a classic performance, and a damn good one at that? But a classic performance by their friendly local neighborhood Republican Chamber of Commerce. I mean, what red-blooded Rotary Club 4-H Masonic lawmaker on earth will turn down this plea for help from a fellow plantation, business owner, knowing full well they got a bunch of no-account criminals wasting up the taxpayers' money watching the Price is Right in jail? Or, better yet, a bunch of children that aren't rich enough to afford college and need a job after high school. Remember, these type children relied on the very cuts talked about in our main video subject. But that was just the tricky part. Check out the big Fig Newton. No money for college can only mean many institutions will fold along with small town America. And that can only mean hundreds of thousands of aimless children each year with nothing to do but make more aimless children. Of course, these companies will prey upon the defenseless souls as well as the prisoners. To get this now, check this out. To be more competitive with the Chinaman's bondage system and bring American jobs back from overseas. Yep, Mr. Charlie, your white brothers are about to make your children industrialized manual labor slaves as well. But I know. Fear-mongering racist propaganda, right? Let's continue, please. Quote, President Trump has promised to bring back manufacturing jobs he claimed has been shipped to countries like China and Mexico, and revive fading industries such as coal and steel. But in many pockets of the country, the problem isn't shuttering factories or abandoned mines, but humming businesses that can't find the staffers they need. There are many anecdotal reports of labor shortages across the country. Listen to this one. Farmers in California report that seasonal foreign workers aren't showing up the way they used to, and neither are Americans happy to take the work foreigners are leaving behind, even though pay is approaching $15 an hour or more. In North Carolina, builders can't erect enough homes to meet demand because they can't find the workers. Home prices will rise. What? Home prices will rise. Let me say that again. Home prices will rise, contractors say, as they're forced to pay more to draw people to the job sites. Example, multiple bingo. The evildoers need blue-collar and dirt hand workers now. And they are creating the environment to Hegelianize you into financial pain so you will be willing to accept your road to serfdom. I'm going to say that again. And they are creating the environment to Hegelianize you into financial pain so that you are willing to accept your road to serfdom. Now, are you seeing how all of their fingers are coming together to make their fist a fury? They are getting rid of the people who ensured low prices, the Mexicans, thus creating financial pain. Now we see they are getting rid of the institutions that is in direct opposition to insuring people who would insure low prices for those who can afford it in the future, thus creating an entire society of haves and have-nots, with the have-nots working in the factories and farms of the haves. But wait, little Miss Ivy, I don't think I got their minds right yet. I don't think they realize the devil pitchfork is a trident, meaning 3 prongs for the white devil to poke you with. What I mean is, thus far we see Pence destroying the institution society said you needed not to be a hired hand. How? By taking away the funding to go to school, thus reducing the money the university receives from you being at school. We have also discovered an awesome job pitch for much needed manual labor jobs in non-exciting areas. Basically, they are exchanging the high-cost white-collar jobs for just enough to raise a family blue-collar ones. I guess they figured you going away to operate a tool and die press, and you going away to college won't be such a big shock to your parents. But check out the third point of the pitchfork that will have most of you feeding pigs in Montana. Perceptual context. Listen to the urgency in this next article. Also remember, student loans will be given to the same agency that the IRS and other revenuers operate from. Question: how long do you think it will be before they start to make the new department fall in line with the larger department's job descriptions? I'm going to breeze through this because we have all gone over this information before. It's just that now it fits perfectly. According to CBS News Market Watch, under 7 Things They Don't Tell You About Student Loans, December 2010. Quote, student loans, if unpaid even for a short time, lock you into the only effective debtor's prison existing in the United States. The government's collection rights are something a mobster might admire. Late fees and collection fees are ruinous. Student loans cannot be discharged in bankruptcy, so you'll drag that escalating debt forever. So will parents with PLUS loans if they lose their jobs and cannot pay. Co-signers face the same potential fate. Our national story says, personal quote, get an education and get ahead. Usually that works. When it doesn't, the loans can wreck your life. Here are 7 things you might not know about education loans. 1. The default rate is much higher than the government leads you to believe. Borrowers don't sign up for loans intending to cheat, but life deals unexpected blows. Solid citizens can lose jobs, homes, marriages, and health. The smallest possible debt is your best defense. The second one, you have no idea how fast an apparently modest student loan can build if you skip payments. For proof, go to studentloanjustice.org, founded by Alan Killeen, or projectonstudentdebt.org, and read the individual stories. There's a $70,000 grad school loan that grew to $102,000, and a $40,000 undergraduate loan now being billed at $152,000. Here's the third one. By law, student loans cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. In theory, there's a way out. A bankruptcy judge has the option, and we all know, we done heard about these judges, and when they have options. What was that, Mr. Dwight? The empiric. So the boots on the ground. This is no theory. This is not what people feel. This is what they actually know and actually see. These judges are racist and genocidal towards us. But let's continue. In theory, there is an out. A bankruptcy judge has the option of releasing you if you face severe economic hardship. But that happens rarely, and you'll need a lawyer even to have a shot. In one case, a judge refused relief to an orchestra cellist who taught music part-time on the grounds that he could switch to a higher-paying line of work. Here's the fourth one. The government and collection agencies can beat you with tactics not allowed by the other types of loans. For example, they can seize tax refunds, garnish up to 15% of your disposable income, and seize part of your Social Security and disability payments if you receive more than $750 a month, all without getting a court order. Many states can also cancel your professional licenses, such as those for teachers, lawyers, and healthcare workers, and making it impossible for you to find work you're trained for. What? And making it impossible to find work you're trained for. On federal loans, you can be done until you die. Number 5. All the traps that await student borrowers also await parents who take education loans. If you've been hurt financially during this hard times, you're generally stuck with this debt no matter what. Number 6. You're also at risk if you co-sign a loan and the borrower can't pay. If the student dies or becomes totally disabled, your federal loans can be forgiven. But if you co-sign private loans, they'll come after you forever. The education department is in itself a collection agent, Carnegie Dean says, so it's generally not on your side. Example, I didn't go to 7. I hope you guys are hearing this. It appears the evildoers will not slowly implement their evil plans. Their moves suggest a slash and burn flashpoint to administer the plan of pain needed to put Operation Black Bondage into high gear. We have already talked about debtor's prison making a comeback. If your mind ain't right yet, and you still have doubts in it, simply Google Operation Anaconda Squeeze. That's Anaconda Squeeze. Or listen to these headlines. Here's the first one. Houston man arrested for not paying $1,500 student loan. That was the New York Daily News, February 2016. Here's the next one. Man arrested by U.S. Marshals for unpaid student loans. That was CNN Money. Here's another one. U.S. Marshals are arresting people in Texas who have outstanding student loans. That was the New York Magazine Daily. All right. Man, that was a lot. Thank you for looking at this video. My God's will. And I got a good one for you next. People, if you didn't catch where I'm going with this stuff, I'm trying to show that the scriptures are true. There's going to be a pain, and they're making the haves and have-nots. And what do you think all of these cuts in education is all about? It's going to go back to the way it was. Well, education was free at one point. I don't think people even realize that. Ask your grandmother, if they're still alive, how much they paid for their college degree. It was zero. It was zero. They didn't pay for the college, but then it became a corporation. But as you can see, and because it became a corporation, it has overhead, massive overhead, and it's bloated, just like everything else. And all of these cuts to these student loans means you can't go. One student Can you imagine how much money it generates into that university? And can you imagine how that reverberates down to the city or town that it's in? They're being really, really crafty with this and smart. They're not making a big stink, but they're undermining everything. And everything in America is run off money. And if you take all the money and don't allocate it, or there's none to allocate, people can't go to these things. People can't go to these things. Things gotta shut down. Things gotta shut down. Oh my goodness. They got work for you. Yeah. They got it for you. But it ain't the kind of jobs that you want. It's the kind of jobs that they need you to have. Man, this is smart, evil, wicked genius that they doing. But enough of me talking. Let me get off my soapbox. I have more to write. My God's will, I'll put it out. Hallelujah.